Adam Silver just dropped the hammer. Cathy Engelbert, the commissioner who thought Caitlin Clark should be grateful for scraps, is gone, fired, tossed out of her leather chair, and straight into unemployment. This isn't just a personnel change. This is an earthquake that just shook the WNBA to its core. Because when the boss of the NBA himself steps in and says, "Enough," you know the league has been burning from the inside. Think about it. How do you lead a league where your biggest stars, A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Napheesa Collier, and yes, Caitlin Clark, don't trust you?
A leader of an organization, how are you not close with the stars of the organization? And the dilemma right now in the WNBA is that the star players, the A'jas, the Stewies, the Sabrinas, the Caitlin Clarks, they don't have a good enough relationship with the leader. The Napheesas, they don't have a good enough relationship with Cathy Engelbert. She came in and she wants all the credit for everything, but there's not enough communication between the leader and between the players. And now you got a revolt. Now everybody in the W is like, hold on, we want you up out of there. But I think the best thing I heard is,
how do you sit in the commissioner's office smiling for photo ops while the very athletes carrying your product can't even get a return phone call? You can't, and that's why Engelbert is gone. The revolt was brewing for months. Fans begging for change, players openly calling out leadership, coaches fined for telling the truth, and through it all, Engelbert gave the same tone-deaf answers. Only losers complain about officiating. Players should be grateful for endorsements, statements that didn't just miss the point. They poured gasoline on the fire.
You should resign. You need to resign. Period. The reason I say that, doggy, is because when a player, any player, but especially one of that magnitude, attacks you publicly like that, that weak-ass statement Commissioner Engelbert gave is not good enough. And I'm gonna say it, it was a weak-ass statement. Could you imagine somebody directing comments and criticisms at you, taking conversations they've had with you directly and telling the world what you said? And did you see that statement, Commissioner?
So here we are. Adam Silver finally did what Fever fans, Clark supporters, and WNBA players themselves had been demanding. He fired the commissioner. The league is in chaos. The fan base is fuming, and the future of women's basketball just took a sharp turn. But here's the real question. Was this firing too late? And what happens next? Stick with me, because this story is about to get a whole lot messier. Cathy Engelbert didn't walk into the WNBA with a losing hand. She was hired as a big-name corporate executive, someone meant to stabilize finances and give the league credibility with sponsors.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low because she's a #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform, so.
On paper, she looked like the perfect pick, an experienced CEO who could land TV deals, shake hands with billionaires, and keep the league afloat. But here's the problem. You can't run a professional sports league like a boardroom. You need to know your players. You need to understand the culture. You need to be part of the game. Engelbert never got that memo. From day one, players whispered that she was distant. Meetings with stars like A'ja Wilson or Breanna Stewart were rare. Communication was surface level. And when she did speak publicly, it was always about ecosystems, business models, and sustainability.
Thank you all for your time today. I have prepared a statement that I would like to make before taking any questions. All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office.
Not once did it sound like she was fighting for her players. Then came Caitlin Clark, a generational star, a ratings machine, the kind of athlete leagues dream about. Instead of embracing her, Engelbert downplayed her. When fans were outraged about Clark's rookie salary, Engelbert said Clark should be grateful because endorsements would make her rich anyway. When asked about officiating, she scoffed, "Only losers complain about the refs." And when pressed on how the league would protect its stars, she doubled down, implying players owed the league, not the other way around. That arrogance lit the fuse. Nafisa Collier blasted her. Sophie Cunningham piled on. Lexi Hull joined the revolt. Fever fans said enough was enough. And when the commissioner herself became the biggest distraction in the WNBA, Adam Silver had no choice but to act. Step 1. Communication collapsed. In any sports league, the commissioner has to have a strong bond with the stars. The NBA has LeBron James texting Adam Silver directly. The NFL has owners and players constantly at the table. Even if they're fighting, they're at least talking. But in the WNBA, Engelbert barely had conversations with her biggest stars. Players like Collier and Stewart said they felt ignored, dismissed, or flat out unheard. That's not leadership, that's negligence. Step 2. Officiating exploded. The season was marred by blown calls, no calls, and straight-up chaos on the floor. Fever fans watched Caitlin Clark get hacked every single night while refs swallowed their whistles. Coaches like Stephanie White got fined just for agreeing with other coaches about bad officiating. Instead of fixing the problem, Engelbert defended the refs, calling them the best in the world. That's when players knew if they wanted accountability, they weren't getting it from her. Step 3. The arrogance. When fans demanded fair pay for rookies like Clark, Engelbert dismissed it, saying Clark should. And when the commissioner became the story, Adam Silver had to step in. Engelbert wasn't just unpopular, she was toxic to the league's future. Here's where everything went from bad to catastrophic. On one hand, Engelbert was bragging about media rights deals, new sponsorships, and how the WNBA was further ahead than other leagues were in their 28th year. On the other hand, fans were watching their favorite players get knocked to the ground without protection, fined for speaking the truth, and dismissed by the very person supposed to represent them. It was a disconnect so glaring, it became impossible to ignore. The tension snapped when Nafisa Collier sat down in her exit interview and detonated Engelbert's credibility. She flat out said WNBA leadership was the worst in professional sports. She revealed Engelbert told her only losers complain about the refs, and that Caitlin Clark should be on her knees thanking the league for even existing. That wasn't a misstep. That was Engelbert showing players exactly how little she valued them. And then came the avalanche. Sophie Cunningham echoed Collier's frustrations. Lexi Hull jumped in. Coaches were fuming. Fans revolted on social media. Suddenly, it wasn't just one star player calling her out. It was the beginning of a coordinated movement. Meanwhile, Engelbert tried to spin the narrative. She called Collier's comments a mischaracterization. She said she was disheartened. But here's the truth. When your players openly call you out and your only defense is corporate jargon, you've already lost. The contradiction was too sharp. The league had never been hotter in terms of attention, yet internally, it was never closer to collapse. Players were furious. Fans were disillusioned. Rival leagues like Unrivaled smelled blood in the water. That's when Adam Silver had no choice. Because when your commissioner is sparking revolts instead of putting out fires, the league is no longer in safe hands. The escalation was complete, and the fall was inevitable. Cathy Engelbert was never a basketball mind. She was a Deloitte CEO, a numbers person, a boardroom operator. And for a while, that worked. She secured sponsorships, landed media deals, and pitched the WNBA as a growth story to corporate America. On paper, she looked like a savior. But inside the league, the cracks were obvious. She didn't When fans asked why Clark's rookie salary was so low, Engelbert brushed it off, saying Clark was making millions in endorsements anyway. Then she went further, claiming Clark should be grateful for the WNBA because without it, she'd have nothing. Think about how backward that is. Clark had Nike deals before she even declared for the draft. She had more people watching her college games than the WNBA finals. She didn't need the WNBA. The WNBA needed her. Yet Engelbert acted like Clark was lucky just to be there. That arrogance alienated not just Clark's fans, but players across the league who saw themselves being treated as disposable assets. And the officiating crisis only poured fuel on the fire. Clark got hacked night after night, while referees swallowed the whistle. When coaches spoke up, Engelbert fined them. When players spoke up, she dismissed them as complainers. Instead of accountability, she doubled down on denial. That combination, corporate arrogance, tone-deaf statements, and dismissing the league's biggest star, was the fatal blow. Engelbert wasn't just out of touch. She was sabotaging the very foundation of the WNBA's future. Cathy Engelbert's firing isn't just about one commissioner losing her job. It's about the entire WNBA standing at a crossroads. Because make no mistake, this decision sends a message louder than any press release. The league belongs to the players, not the executives. For years, the WNBA has struggled to connect its business growth with its basketball product. Engelbert bragged about sponsorships and billion-dollar media deals, but fans were watching a league that felt unprotected, unaccountable, and frankly, unwatchable at times. Stars like Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson, and Breanna Stewart brought in the crowds, but the leadership made those same stars feel ignored. Now, Silver's move flips the script. If you mistreat the players, you don't keep your job. Period. The ripple effects are massive. First, for the players, Collier, Cunningham, Hull. By speaking up, they prove their voices can force change. That matters. It shifts the power dynamic from the front office to the locker room, making stars feel valued instead of disposable. Second, for the fans. This is validation. Fever fans who screamed about Clark's treatment weren't just complaining. Step 2 is appointing someone who can bridge business with basketball, sponsors with stars, and executives with athletes. Without that, the WNBA risks fumbling its golden era before it even begins. Cathy Engelbert thought she could run the WNBA like a corporation, cold, calculated, detached. But basketball isn't just a business, it's culture, it's passion, it's people. And when you ignore that, when you dismiss your stars, when you punish your players for demanding respect, you don't just lose credibility, you lose your job. Her firing wasn't just overdue, it was inevitable. Because you cannot market the Caitlin Clark era while simultaneously undermining Caitlin Clark at every turn. You cannot talk about empowering women athletes while treating them as disposable assets. And you cannot claim growth while your product is cracking under the weight of bad officiating, tone-deaf leadership, and ignored fan bases. The truth? Engelbert became the symbol of everything holding the WNBA back. And her removal is more than just an executive shuffle, it's a reset button. A chance for the league to finally align its leadership with its talent, to put players first, and to give fans a product that feels worth their loyalty. But here's the catch. Firing Engelbert is just the start. The WNBA's survival depends on what comes next. Who replaces her? Will Adam Silver handpick another corporate suit, or will the league finally appoint someone who gets it? Someone who understands that the WNBA isn't just a brand, it's a movement. This moment will define whether the WNBA becomes the powerhouse it's always promised to be, or whether it stays stuck in the cycle of hype followed by disappointment. One thing is certain, the players have spoken, the fans have spoken, and now the league has no choice but to listen. Because the future of women's basketball is here, and it won't wait for leadership to catch up. If you want more unfiltered takes on the WNBA's biggest controversies, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for the real story they won't tell you on TV.